Hi, everybody. Welcome to the month of June, one of my favorite months. My birthday falls in the month of June. It reminds us of summer camp and campfires and swimming and no school. This is kind of what it brings me back to. So I love the month of June. And June is also Pride Month when we celebrate LGBTQIA friends and family and all the blessings that they bring to our lives. So you see my background is my special June Gay Pride background for the month. I love it. I see a little, looks like a little Magin David right there, depending on how you look at it. So I thought this was a pretty background for us. With all the beauty that June brings us, of course, we are certainly in difficult, challenging times. And so that got me thinking about how we speak to children about these times, because my son woke up a couple days ago and said, when is this flu season going to end? He calls it the flu season. I didn't have an answer for him immediately because I did have an answer. My answer could have been, I don't know, but that's really anxiety provoking. So I just decided to think on it and came up with something a little bit better, in my opinion, to say, which I won't share with you because I want you to have your own responses. But I was talking with a good friend of mine. Her name's Allison Dankner, and I'm calling her out on this post today. Allison is a behaviorist and she's a learning specialist. She's a very good friend and someone who's been in my family's life for a while now. She's been working with my kids and we were talking about this, she's got such a wealth of knowledge, all things related to children and parenting. And so we were just texting, and I'm going to read this. She said, a lot of people are feeling the impact of what is going on around the world, including your children. And it is very important to sit down with them and talk about it. If you have younger children, especially, you might be wondering how to discuss certain topics with them. Here are a few tips. I'm not going to give you her tips because this is her profession and this is what she does for a living. And she's got a million tips and they're all incredible. But it really did get me thinking, as a mother and also as a cantor and an education director. So how can we answer some of these really difficult and really important questions that our children have? We have to really think about how we answer because we don't want to cause any more unrest than they may already have. So there are so many books out and lots of resources. I wanted to read a poem, and not only with coronavirus. So, your child can walk through the living room when you're watching the news and see everything else that's going on in the world, which did get me thinking about this poem that I want to share with you. I'm going to read it as a poem. It's actually a song from South Pacific, but I'm reading it so that you don't just think of it as a song. I really want you to pay attention to the text. It's called You've Got to Be Carefully Taught. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed into your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. Wow. Those lyrics are it gives me the chills. So with all of that education that kids are receiving from their relatives, we need to do better. We need to keep educating and we need to keep teaching our children what we know is right. Our Jewish tradition feels very strongly about this concept of loving our neighbor. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. This has always been part of our tradition. So let's keep these conversations flowing. Let's keep talking about how it is that we can interact with our kids and respond to them. And let me know if you want any tips. I don't know if my responses are any better than yours, but I'm happy to always talk with you about how you can respond to your children's difficult questions. These are difficult questions. Have a great day.